The latest Pompey news, updates every day from the Pompey Sound news desk.
The start of the final week of the January transfer window sees Pompey engaged in cloak and dagger over two potential new arrivals: Sheffield Wednesday's midfielder, 6'3" Ingelsson, and Dundee's coveted young centre-back Luke Graham. The only concrete news on the Sheffield Wednesday front is that the club are braced for a number of players leaving in the next few days. To which direction north, south, east or west the reliable Swede will take remains top secret. One recognised news source is claiming that Pompey have already had a £600,000 bid for the young Scot knocked back, and that several other clubs, including championship rivals and highly rated Scottish clubs, are throwing their hat into the ring. Pompey have developed a PR technique of waiting to make the announcement of new additions until after close of play on the day of success, and Pompey Sound will bring you any concrete news as and when it's published.
Pompey are hinting that if they feel they have sufficient strength in depth at left-back to provide quality cover in the event of Conor Ogilvie being injured, suspended or needed elsewhere, they will send Jacob Farrell out on loan. Farrell saw his first action after 17 months injured coming off the bench at Watford, and looked in good shape and capable of doing a good job. John Messino has to balance the need to have cover in place against the enormous backlog of injuries the squad are dealing with the need to continue the development of a young asset who will remain contracted to Pompey for 2 seasons after the current one. Messino is saying, quote, "Watford was Faz's first league game since September 2024. That's a huge amount of football to miss for someone we're considering a loan for. It's something we've spoken about, but we said that it's something that can't happen because we need him now. I wasn't lying when I said that. We needed him the other night, and he was very close to coming on against Sheffield Wednesday and Southampton. I was delighted he got some game time against Watford. He's a good player, it's just about getting him some game time and trying to maximise that asset for us as a football club. We've seen Jacob Prudz once in the league. I thought he played really well, but it was a long time ago and he's had many injuries since."
He needs to play. Of course he wants to play. He needs to play in order to hone his game back to the level that it was before he suffered this string of injuries that have basically kept him off the pitch for, is it 17 months? That's a long time. When you're in your very, very early 20s, you're 10,500 miles away from home, you're kind of on your own, although, as discussed frequently on Pompey Sound, there are enough Aussies in the dressing room to keep him company, but he's sorely laid up, or has been sorely laid up. Put in a 15-minute cameo, didn't he, just a few days ago now, and looked pretty good, looked very professional. The way he bought a foul when a foul was needed against Sheff Wed, wasn't it? Everything else that he did on the pitch, which wasn't a lot to be fair, but everything that he did looked entirely authentic. But if John Messino and the coaching staff say he needs game time, he needs game time. And when the player ahead of you is Conor Ogilvie, that's going to be hard to get. Of course, Conor could get a suspension. I don't know how many yellows he's on at the moment. He could be moved to centre-half the way things are, and he certainly does a great job there. Or it's possible that he might be needed to be rested, in which case then step forward Farrell. But as things stand, he's going to be spending a lot of time sitting on the bench and therefore not developing his the top end of his footballing game, which he might do if he's on loan somewhere. And it looks as though, if the rumours are to be believed, that the clubs lining up interested in his services if he goes out on loan are pretty substantial clubs, pretty substantial outfits, which is very flattering for him. And if you want to view him as an asset, pretty valuable, increasingly valuable for Pompey.
John Messino concedes it was a bit risky to hand Marlon Pack his injury comeback in the South Coast derby. Yet the head coach is adamant the club captain's presence was key in Pompey's fight back to claim a point in the 1-1 draw.
Marlon was great. We were desperate to get him back in. It was probably a bit risky, not quite ready to play again, but we pushed that one through. We are being very short-term at the moment with things like that and things like Regan. I thought he came on and did well. He's such a special part of this football club. I think Marlon had been waiting for this moment for a long time. He missed the first derby at St Mary's with an injury he had picked up and was gutted back then. He was trying to force himself back for that one, but didn't quite make it. Sunday wasn't solely to get Marlon on for the sake of it. It's because he's a very good player, and we saw that again. But he'll be fine now after the injury. However, the special moment did arrive on Sunday, having been named among the substitutes after being sidelined by a hamstring injury for the previous 2 fixtures at Sheffield Wednesday and Watford. Marlon as a captain gives you that extra edge, he gives you calmness and control, plus that real physicality, although I thought Doz was really good as well. Everyone played well, but Marlon as a captain gives you that extra edge in terms of his leadership. The only disappointing thing about his performance is he didn't slot that chance away and it went out for a throw.
It's a two-way thing with Marlon, Pack. Not only are we very lucky to have him, a player who can play like him, who can dominate the entire pitch like him with his enormous sense of authority, and also play such a successful and valuable game of football. Besides being a natural leader, a talisman, he plays such a good game. His tackling, his positional sense, his distribution, his threat to goal is right up there with anybody else in the Championship, surely. It's just that he hasn't necessarily got 98 minutes in him week after week, or 3 times a week, as sometimes now Pompey and the other teams are playing. But just as we're lucky to have him, he's lucky to have us, really, to see the sun set gradually, hopefully very gradually, on a powerful career, a strong career as a professional footballer, an exemplary career as a professional footballer. OK, he didn't crack it in the Premier League. Very few English players do. But he's cracked it in every way possible, everywhere he's been. And he's waiting now to see what sort of doors open for him in coaching and management when he finally decides to hang up his boots. And at Pompey Sound, we've made the right noises in the direction of the possibility that now he's home again, now he's back on the island, now he's back where he was born and bred and buttered, and how much must he have enjoyed running out onto the pitch. When did he come on? Against Southampton, and doing what he did. Because his love, being a Pompey fan as a boy, his love for Pompey is almost matched by his disregard for Southampton. So he's very lucky to be back home. I believe he's got a young family. That's entirely his business. But he is able to bring them up in surrounds that are familiar to him. Like we were saying about Matt Ritchie when he came back. Marlon Pack knows where all the fish and chip shops are on the island. Right. That's, of course, unless they're brand new. Because the island doesn't change an awful lot, and a homecoming it beats so many other false dawns, false pleasures. A homecoming. So we're lucky to have him, and he's lucky to have us, and hopefully we've got him for a good bit longer.
An official press release from Pompey. Quote, Portsmouth Football Club are delighted to announce that teenage forward Teo Singer has signed his first professional contract. He enjoyed a memorable senior debut earlier in the season, coming off the bench to score against Reading in a Carabao Cup tie at Fratton Park. And a championship debut followed, as he made a substitute appearance at Bristol City on New Year's Day. Singer has also enjoyed a prolific loan stint in with Moneyfields in the Isthmian League South Central Division this term, netting 14 goals in 18 appearances. John Messinio said, Teo has made a big step up this season and has featured for the first team on merit. The progress Teo has made means he fully deserves this deal, and we are all excited to see how his career continues to develop. It was great to see him score his first goal in senior football against Reading, while he has also shone in the men's game while out on loan. The progress Teo has made means he fully deserves this deal, and we are all excited to see how his career continues to develop. Academy manager Greg Miller said, I am delighted that Teo is extending his time at the club through this professional contract. The journeys of all young players look very different, with not all being with us from their start point. Teo was signed just 4 years ago, and has shown a real commitment to improve in every area, on and off the field. It's great news for all the academy staff, present and past, who have supported Teo, and of course, brilliant for him and his family.
To be clear, and to a certain extent I'm saying this out loud to see if it sounds authentic, we didn't discover Teo Singer. He came to us from elsewhere 4 years ago, so he would have been early to mid-teens, but we have turned him into somebody that a championship club, Portsmouth, feel deserves to be signed up. We need to sign him up because he has potential to score goals for us, and potential possibly on the transfer scene if it's decided that that we want to cash in. But we put a lot of time and effort and thought and intelligence into developing him, and now he has reached the point where a goal against Reading, okay, it was only the Carabao Cup, but he's still got to tuck it away. A first team appearance as a sub for the first team, playing for Pompey, means that he's definitely going in the right direction. Is it 14 goals in 18 games for Moneyfields? He's a proper prospect, and we've now got quite a few prospects coming through, young players who are starting to turn into proper assets, people who could make the first team, you just never know, but who will have an on-sale value, a sell-on value in the not-too-distant future, if indeed they haven't already got it. So, welcome to him, and we're looking forward to seeing him maybe starting a game sometimes towards the end of the season, if perhaps, touchwood, luckily, well, not necessarily luckily, by dint of skill, Pompey find themselves safe from relegation.
One of Sunday's heroes, Zach Swanson, is talking about his surprise role as a centre-half.
I've played plenty of positions for this football club now. Terry Devlin said they should sing his song about me. I'm willing to play anywhere that's required to help this football club though. I just go out and give my all, that's all you can do. I found out I was playing centre-back on Saturday with Regan struggling with his groin after Watford. So we went through my position and what was wanted at centre-half. I played there in a cameo this year, but that was my first start there in men's football, so it was a little different. But you can only do what you can do, go out there and give your all. The lads are stepping up. When lads are out, lads need to step up. We need to get some boys back fit, and that we can get on a good run until the end of the season. We need to use the form as a springboard. Everyone is showing commitment and giving 100%. We finished the game on Sunday with 4 fullbacks across the back 4, so that shows everyone is giving their all for this club. We've had a good patch of results recently. We need to turn some of those draws into wins and keep climbing the table.
He certainly put in a good shift, didn't he, Zach Swanson, and playing out of position. I'm reminded that during the recent Ashes Test series, which we don't talk about a great deal because we've got far too many Aussies in the changing room for conversations about the cricket to have been anything other than painful. I hope they didn't rub it in. But on the opening day of, I think it was the second, might have been the third test, one of Australia's opening batters called in sick. And this was only about half an hour before the start of the match. So they got together in the dressing room and the Australian coach said, "Anybody want to open?" And Travis Head, who you came to really like and admire the way he bats and the way he is, stuck his hand up straight away and went, "How hard can it be?" That's such a good attitude. And it looks as though Swanson's got a little bit of that attitude. He'll play anywhere for the club that he now states, and I tend to believe it, don't you, he absolutely loves.